Kensal Green Cemetery is pivotal and utmost importance to the community in North Kensington.
This is where a lot of key figures over time, their bodies have been laid to rest.
There are a number of individuals who are buried in the Kensal Green Cemetery who has carried out seminal roles in either protecting the carnival, developing the carnival, or promoting the carnival more.
It's a place of community where people come together to honour the dead and really pay respect and homage to those that have gone before us.
You learn a lot from studying other people's life stories. This is like a well of inspiration.
It's imperative that new generations, that we preserve the culture and share the history and pass it down.
Telling these stories is vitally important because it keeps the tradition, the culture alive.
People have attributed many dates to the so-called beginning of the carnival. It's a contested terrain. One of the major essences is to be able to dance to music on the road. We put Russ Henderson, a pan player, central to that beginning.
Russ Henderson was born in Trinidad in 1924. Russ came to the UK to study piano tuning at the North London Polytechnic.
I listened to his stories where he told me about how he came over in the 50s, playing on the jazz scene as a pianist. And then what they started doing is playing a bit of steel pan for one set, and then the other set would be traditional instruments. He got a gig playing in Ladbroke Grove, an outdoor fete.
And it was very boring. He was standing there playing music, but he felt the opportunity to, why not come out, open the gate and play the music, and other people would form, like a Pied Piper, follow him along the road, and this is what he did.
I was around for the first street carnival, and I've documented, and I was there. It was on Tavistock Road. I heard this. I was in my dark room and I heard all this commotion and music and steel bands. So I came out. It was on a bank holiday, and it was our Emancipation Day. Even though it wasn't recognized as a carnival, it was a gathering.
I remember Russell was telling me that he actually said, let's go for a walk. So they started walking around Ladbroke Grove, Portobello and Notting Hill. People followed them, which sort of created a procession.
Just by expressing his culture in a certain way, it triggered a lot of other things to happen.
And then at the end of that, they thought, maybe we should do it again next year, because it resonated with so many people, with the neighbours and so on.
He said it was quite small to start with, it wasn't a lot of people.
They didn't have the big floats like you might see now at the carnival, but they would have steel pans round their neck, and they went up all by Bayswater and then came down the road, and people would just join in. They'd be like, wow, almost like the Pied Piper, and people join in, and then year after year it got, the crowds became bigger, and that was the birth of the Notting Hill Carnival.
You're the crew that like Carnival. We're celebrating 50 years right now.
His commitment and love to the music and the culture was always beyond question because he shared that with everybody.
I remember being at his house as a young child and just such a welcoming environment, always ready to teach, always got stories to tell. Just an amazing, amazing, amazing character. When he died last year, his funeral was amazing. They closed off the whole of Chamberlain Road and we came down from his house, pan round neck. People lie in the streets to see him off.
Russell Henderson, as a musician, will always be known as one of the vanguard, one of the pioneers who had an effect that will be felt for a long time.
He made the steel band very popular, and you see a lot of steel bands are in schools. It's part of the curriculum, and you've got a steel band orchestra now, yeah?
And I think that's a legacy that's there forever now.
Duke Vin and Count Suckle were the originators of what we now call sound system culture.
These two icons brought over their own music, and they served the Afro-Caribbean community, and yet we still didn't have a platform at the time or places to go. Those who didn't want to do ballroom dancing or tango or foxtrot, there wasn't any places that would accommodate us for our style of music. Count Suckle opened a club called the Q Club, where he first introduced rhythm and blues, an American type of soul music blended with a bit of Caribbean music. And at the time there was a Cold War, and used to have a lot of black American GIs. When they used to come down from the bases, they didn't have nowhere to go apart from Douglas House, but when they wanted entertainment, they'd end up in the shebeens.
Here in the UK, there's no secret, black people were not permitted to go where they pleased. The building of sound systems and the setting up of shebeens was a political act. Hoity-toity, nice places in the West End didn't want us there in that period. And so we created our own places to be. And then these became attractions to the entire community and eventually have shaped the culture. But originally, part of it came out of a history of really rejection by the mainstream society, saying, cool, we'll keep a blues dance then.
Those places then became meeting places for everybody disenfranchised or marginalized in some way.
Even when I was growing up, and I grew up in the 80s, half my childhood memories are going to my parents' equivalent of a blues dance, where any Caribbean kid will be able to tell you this. You'd be upstairs, bare other kids asleep in the room, parents are downstairs raving, you try and sneak and look down and see what I'm going. It's part of what we did, because still then that legacy of feeling like not included and wanting to do our own thing was there.
A blues dance would be held in a local town hall or in someone who's got a big basement flat. Duke Vin was very popular, especially at the local Metro Club.
Duke Vin and Count Suckle's contribution is immeasurable. It is a significant contribution that's affected the whole of the culture of this country.
For instance, as far as I'm concerned, if it wasn't our presence in England, you wouldn't have the Beatles and you wouldn't have the Rolling Stones, you wouldn't have Elton John. And Sir Elton can tell you who he served his apprenticeship with when he used to back Samuel Burke. Any of the Rolling Stones can tell you that they used to go down to listen to Count Suckle at the Roaring Twenties.
You get reggae music, the whole DJ phenomenon, which then affects the other forms that are to come after it, especially hip hop.
All of the forms of sample-based, sound system derivative dance music that the UK has pioneered, grime, garage, jungle.
So if it wasn't for their influence, British popular music wouldn't be as it is.
Those people really have left an indescribable imprint on popular culture in this country, and it's interesting that their names are relatively unknown outside of that diaspora. And even within it, there's a lot of people who make grime today who have no idea who Duke Vin and Count Suckle are, which is a sad testament to how much we're not doing enough to pass on the legacy. So I'm glad stuff like this is happening.
Count Suckle and Duke Vin were stowaways when they came into the country. They would have been considered illegal immigrants. It's ironical that two people who would be demonized in the same situation right now made a contribution that, as we said before, is immeasurable.
There is a real lack and gap of facility for our elders, not to mention it's these very same people that created this very, very lucrative, culturally diverse, creative, wealthy landscape that so many flock to from all over the globe. When I realised that, I thought, God, something needs to be done, so I set up an organisation called Ladbroke Grove Originals, and we put on events for the elders to both have a platform to flourish and to tell their story, and also just provide a social space of thanksgiving.
There's a tendency for things to get lost in translation, and I think that's really our job as a community as well, that we can't expect the mainstream British society to dig deep into the crates of kind of African Caribbean history and make sure that the legacy is passed on. That's not really how mainstream society functions. Even when it comes to working class white British culture, there are loads of icons who are lost to history because they weren't rich parliamentarians or they didn't have the right background or they didn't go to Eton. History remembers predominantly the wealthy. I feel lucky as an MC who probably has that historical knowledge, and I try to bring that into what I do. So people can be like, yeah, you know what, this isn't new. This was built on top of this, that was built on top of this, that was built on top of this, and we've got to respect the forefathers.
As soon as we tell the stories of those become before us, we invoke that energy of those that's come before us. There's a whole well of inspiration to be drawn from, looking at what the contribution these people made and looking at what contribution can I make to the continuity of that legacy.
We have to keep these cultures and traditions alive, and it's very important. So I really commend you guys for the works that you're doing. It's really important.
If we don't talk about those things and we don't bring them forward into the future, then that's what I would call dead. So it's very important for us to be doing things like this because what it's really about is life.